Cam Todd. I am from southeast of Charlotte, North Carolina. Had quite a bit of childhood here in the Carolinas. Growing up, my family still resides in Darlington and Thomasville, North Carolina. I got started in disc golf, however, in Atlanta. I had moved there for probably 8 years and ended up going to the Art Institute of Atlanta, and I had met with a buddy, and he took me out to a park one day and said, "Hey, let's play this game." And I'm like, "Well, what kind of game is this?" And he brings the frisbees and picks a tree, and so primitive as it was probably the most fun I've had in a long time. So I was kind of addicted, and I spent 3 or 4 years looking for the sport after that, because he had mentioned that, you know, there are courses with real baskets or real targets and things. I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" He's like, "Well, there's pole holes. I think they just hit a pole or tone pole or something like that." And I was like, "Oh, that sounds interesting." So I looked and looked and looked and could not find the sport to save my life. You know, asking everybody, "Hey, have you heard of disc golf? Or you heard of frisbee golf? Disco? What? You know, just never got a straight answer. Well, I think it was 4-something years later, I'm jamming with a guy in Atlanta. I look behind his couch, and lo and behold, he's got hundreds of disc, and you know, and I'm asking him, like, "Man, is that frisbee golf?" And he's like, "No." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "It's disc golf." And I was like, "Man, come on." I was like, "Take me now, right now, let's go. I've been dying to do this for years. I've never played a real course." So we went, and I was hooked. You know, I started probably the end of '97, and actually ran into Brad Hammock at a course in Atlanta, and you know, he thought I'd had a decent amount of skill, and he was wondering how long I've been playing. I said, you know, probably close to 6 months, and he was impressed, so he told me I needed to check out the PDGA, and I was just blown away at the organization that was going on behind the sport, and to me it was a no-brainer. You know, I'm joining. He gave me a magazine. I went to a tournament a week and a half later. Thought I was going to win the thing, but you know, 31 strokes out of it with 9 holes to go, I realized I couldn't ace every hole and win. So I saw that I had a process to get as good as those guys, and that was my goal, and I put time into it every day until that came about.
There you go.
When I sought out, I've always been involved in things, good at sports, you know, and just some reason I'm just go from one to the next, get pretty good and go and go and go. So this was one I said, you know what, I'm sticking with it. Until I become the world champion, I'm not stopping this one. And so pretty much I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I went to the golf course. I ran in two-plus rounds. I went to work. I came back after work. I got in another round or two. And then I went home and probably putted from about 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock or so. And then I got up and repeated process at least 4 or 5 times a week. And you know, I would probably putt 700 putts a night, you know, easily, just trying to hone it in and figure it out. What do my wrists need to be doing? What do my stance need to be doing? How's my balance? Where am I getting the energy from? You know, what's all these factors? And I figured out what has worked for me and my style of the game, and you know, and it's just taken consistent practice and dedication. Mine's all about eliminating components. You know, I don't want to have all these moving components, our joint moves, our wrist moves, shoulder moves, hips move, everything moves. We want to minimize that, take out all these joints and just use this one. So this is all lock solid. So now I'm using this joint and then a couple in my knees and hips, and that's it. I don't want to use the elbow, the arm, then the elbow, then the wrist. I'm creating all kinds of angles with my putt, and all I want to do is lock it down and have one little toss. And if you incorporate it with your body energy, it comes up from the body right through the arm, and I try to minimize all these moving components, and it's really worked for me. I was a tattoo artist for probably about 7 years. You know, a big-time drawer and sketcher before that. You know, tried to do things, and it you know, of course, like everything, I found other passions and did other things, but when I figured out painting, it was just, you know, it was an amazing difference. The color that you can come up with, the brightness, the contrast. I mean, it's just a whole different world than charcoals and you know, things like that. It really brings it to a three-dimensional look, you know, and it's a lot more you can do with paint than any other media. But I've always been interested in everything in life. I mean, I like it all, and it's hard for me to pick and choose because I will get lost in doing something and just go and do it, and that's sometimes good, sometimes bad. And when the mood hits, I'll do something else. You know, it's just too much to life to only focus and only do one thing in life. So the arts of life, dance, music, art, I love it all, and I commend anybody that keeps that going. I'd say the Z Comet. I don't think there's many courses that I couldn't play with just a Z Comet. It's so universal. If you want to hyzer it, it hyzers. If you want to anhyzer it, anhyzers. I mean, it does whatever you tell it to do, and it's a pretty true disc. As long as I stay healthy, you know, I definitely see myself continuing to play. I think I'll be more involved, you know, in the tournament scene and just the overall growth of disc golf. That's always been my main concern. You know, I've been working on several things for, you know, quite some time now. Even in the time I've been off, it was still a passion of mine to come up with a couple of new products and you know, revolutionize the sport. And I can't wait to bring those out and show people what I've been working on.